Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Phoe'Nix here, and basically what this is a recap episode, as it were. Now, I've recently started streaming Skyrim. For those who don't know, on my YouTube channel that haven't watched me on Twitch at all, I've recently started streaming Skyrim, and it's a lot more organic, I guess you could say, to stream it and sort of talk about the character through that and have people interact with sort of, oh, will she do this, or oh, did she, it's nice to have like people ask questions about her. I can sort of flesh out the character more for people. But for those that are interested in watching me live stream Skyrim, I'm doing it currently every evening. This is British time, and I'll be live streaming it for a couple of hours each evening or something, and I'm basically role-playing the character. It's not just like a straight playthrough where I go to, oh, I'm going to go over there now and get the best weapon in the game. It's a playthrough and it's a role-play. I'm role-playing the character, and we're sort of we're going through her journey, we're doing what she would do and such. So basically this is a recap episode, and the reason I'm doing this is because, sadly, thanks to Twitch being as awesome as it is, it doesn't have my other two live streams that I did for Skyrim. I did two live streams, two separate live streams that are basically the beginnings of Tavarni's story, which is the character's name. However, for some reason Twitch has decided it doesn't like me and has gotten rid of those live streams, despite the fact it's still having live streams I did about 2 months ago. So for some reason it's keeping them, but it's not keeping my ones that I did 2 weeks ago. So very confusing there, but oh well. So I'm basically going to recap for everyone what happened in the live streams a couple of weeks ago. Luckily enough, don't worry too much. Those that are now watching this on YouTube and like, oh damn, I've missed some important stuff. You haven't missed anything important really. We're just about getting into the meaty section of the role-playing. The first couple of episodes was just Tavarni getting to know the lay of the land, Skyrim and such. So I'm just going to fill you all in on Tavarni's background and what you missed. You literally didn't miss all that much, so there's nothing to worry about too much. And then hopefully after this has been uploaded, I'll be uploading last night's stream, and then you can really see the meaty portion of this roleplay. But just to let everyone know, just before I do start recapping, if you're interested in watching me live stream on Twitch, the link is in my YouTube. I'll also put it in the description. I'm currently doing a lot more live streaming and obviously making YouTube videos, but if you missed the live streams, or if you don't want to watch them, or if you can't watch them, I'll be uploading them to YouTube anyway, so you can watch them that way. So yes, thank you for, let's get to the recap. I don't know why I said thank you there, but thank you for listening so far. Yes, but let's get to the recap. So, Tavarni Ariana is the name of our character. She is a dark elf. Fairly young, only in her 20s now. And basically, when she was around 4 years old, she made the mistake of going down into this hidden room within her parents' basement, or within her parents' house. Sorry, my apologies. Now, her parents are very high up in the Dark Elf community. They're quite wealthy, they have a nice manor house, and I guess you could say that her father and mother are in politics. I guess there would be where their stature is in society. So they're in politics, they're quite high up. However, they have a secret that they don't let out. They're secretly necromancers, and they very much love the dark arts of the magic. They love the dark magic, and they're very much seduced by it. They love the power and such. They're quite sadistic. And within their manor, they had built a purpose-built necromancy room where they could do all their different necromancy things, and nobody would ever find out because it was hidden. Sadly for them, obviously, having gone down there so many times, it's just sort of a normal thing for them, that obviously to anyone else it would be incredibly, to normal people, that would be very scared and frightened by the fact that they go down there and do these sorts of things, as portrayed in a lot of the mages guilds in Skyrim and Oblivion. They're quite against necromancy. They don't really like it. They find it quite bad. But they've forgotten to shut the door, basically, the hidden door, to stop anyone getting in while they're doing their necromancy. And of course, being 4 years old, Tavarni had woken up during the middle of the night, and she went to find her parents. What she found is that secret door still open. So she went down there, and she went down these steps and into the basement. And what she saw there changed her life forever. she saw her mother and her father and a body on the table, and it wasn't a dead body, it was a live person. Someone was laying on the table, they were strapped down to this sort of stone altar, and the next thing she watched was her mother plunged a dagger into the person, I believe it was an Imperial, and she plunged a dagger into this Imperial's chest and stabbed his heart, and then she went about cutting him open to do all of her necromancy magic, basically. Of course, being 4 years old, this frightened Tavarni incredibly. She gasped and her parents noticed her, and instead of being very well, they didn't show it very well, but they were frightened that Tavarni would now go and tell someone and the whole secret would be out. She's 4 years old, she's a child, and it might slip out. So instead of ruining their reputations, which they cared more for, their stature in society, their wealth, and their ruining their continuation of their necromancy dark arts, they basically locked poor Tavarni in her bedroom for exactly 14 years. She was literally in that room for 14 years, never allowed out. Her parents hated her, and it was all because she went down these stairs into the basement by accident and saw them performing necromancy. And forever that her parents developed a distaste for her. Of course, they had planned to bring her into the family business, as it were, in terms of necromancy. They wanted to bring her into necromancy, but at 4 years old she was far too young to understand, and if they had not locked her in her room, she probably would have told someone, and then they would have been found out. They would have had their wealth probably taken away from them, they would have been imprisoned, or worse, executed, and they couldn't have that. They were very high up in society, they had a lot of power, and they did not obviously want to die. So they locked her in her room for 14 years, and for 14 years that is where she stayed. And she became, obviously slowly but surely, being in her room for 14 years and not being allowed out, kind of meddled with her mind, it twisted her, and she became as sadistic as her parents over time. When she was allowed out, and this is only obviously to sort of go to the bathroom or something, she managed to sneak a few novels or literature from her parents' bedroom and other various places in the house. And of course, her parents being necromancers, a lot of them were to do with Molag Bal and other Daedric lords, and obviously necromancy studies and other such things. Now obviously these aren't illegal to have, these are literature pieces, so that her parents obviously left these to be displayed because they just had an interest in that. But nobody knew, of course, that they had more than just an interest, they liked to do necromancy. But she managed to collect all these books and hide them within her prison, as it were, and over these 14 years she constantly read about the Daedra and different types of creatures like werewolves and vampires, and slowly but surely she developed a deep love and a deep interest for all of these different sadistic things like necromancy, the magic dark arts, werewolves, vampires, mostly vampires, and Molag Bal in particular. And over time, as I said, she developed a love for these different elements of dark, sadistic creatures, of dark, sadistic natures and such. And when she came to around 18 years old, she saw her opportunity to escape. See, the family had just had a new chef, thanks to her parents who had decided that their old chef needed to be used in one of their necromancy practices. So, poor guy. And it was a woman. It was a female Argonian who had been hired to be their chef. And of course she didn't really understand why Tavarni was locked up in her room, and she was quite, what's the word I'm looking for here? She kind of offered Tavarni a shoulder to cry on. She was quite sympathetic towards Tavarni, and that's where she made a mistake. See, Tavarni by this point was very cold-hearted, she was sadistic, and any chance of getting out she would take it. And the cook had been given a dagger just to be safe with Tavarni. Like if Tavarni tried to escape, the cook was to obviously unsheath the dagger and threaten her that if she left she would be killed. However, being sympathetic, the cook didn't think about the fact that Tavarni could be quite sadistic and such. And Tavarni took the dagger from her sheath and she stabbed the Argonian female into the heart, just like she'd seen her parents do that night many years ago. and within seconds, it was just like it was a race. It was a race. She had to hurry because before her parents noticed that she'd done what she did. So she was quick to gather as many different things she could, what she might need for her journey, some gold, some valuables, and she left the house. She left. She just ran. She ran and she ran and she ran. And she managed to barter passage to another land. Now, at first she didn't go to Skyrim. She actually went to Cyrodiil, and she hid in Cyrodiil for a couple of years. And during those couple of years she was very quiet, it was very, very secretive. She didn't go out into the open, into the public a lot. She actually spent a lot of her time dwelling within a cave. And in this cave she started to try and learn about alchemy, and all during this time she'd collected all of these different books. Obviously Cyrodiil has many massive libraries, and she got to learn about Molag Bal and all of the Daedric lords and vampires even more, and she developed a deep love and interest for vampires and Molag Bal. But not the vampires that you'll probably know of, not the impure vampires. She developed a pure love for the pure-blooded vampires, those created by Molag Bal, those vampires that were the first vampires that were created by him, not the impure ones that are more like mongrel vampires. These were pure-blooded vampires. Their entire blood was that of a vampire, instead of the mongrel vampires that it was more of a half and half mixture of vampire blood and whatever race they were. And after 2 years, she didn't wish to stay in Cyrodiil for much longer. Her parents, obviously, being high up in Dark Elf society, they had contacts within the Old Mary Dominion, and the Old Mary Dominion by this point had taken over the Imperial Legion and the Empire. So being in Cyrodiil was probably the worst decision, but it was the only boat she could barter passage for at the time. However, she very quickly found another one in Cyrodiil, just out of sheer what's the word I'm looking for here? Just out of sheer worry that she might get caught. She was being quite, I wouldn't say the word is not, fearful, I guess would be a good word. She was fearful that she'd be caught by the Imperials and obviously executed. She doubted her parents would actually allow her to live now that she escaped, especially after murdering the chef. They could pin that on her and then get her killed, and of course she wouldn't be able to say a thing about what they did. And by this point nobody would probably believe her anyway. She didn't have any evidence that her parents were necromancers and did all these very dark and twisted things, even though she herself was now wishing to do those sort of things as well. Oddly, she developed a deep interest for necromancy and all of these different impure things that most people in society within Tamriel would think were impure and wrong. So she managed to find another boat, and she took this boat to the land of Skyrim, and that's where our adventure begins. That's where the live stream begins, of course, in Skyrim. And she had been captured, just getting off basically she was heading towards the closest town, which was Helgen at that point, and she was going to try and just find some accommodation for one night and sort of get herself sorted before heading out into the land of Skyrim. However, on her way there she was captured by Imperials. Now of course in her eyes she was, oh no, they found me, this is it. But luckily enough, it wasn't that the Imperials were not looking for her specifically. Sadly, she had walked into an ambush with these Stormcloaks. She had no idea of that. She didn't have much interest in politics or what was going on in the land of Skyrim, what sort of wars the Empire were getting into, but she'd been caught up with some Stormcloaks. And she'd been caught up with the head of the Stormcloaks as well, which of course she still had no idea that he was the leader of them, and she was taken to Helgen, which is exactly where she wanted to go, but she was taken there for execution. And it wasn't obviously too dissimilar to her parents putting out an execution warrant for her, and at that moment she thought she was going to die. The executioner raised his axe, but then suddenly this great black dragon came out of nowhere, just sheer wonderment in her eyes that the dragon even existed still, and it threw the executioner off, and suddenly there was a great panic within Helgen, and she managed to escape. Now once escaping, she quickly left, and she soon found herself at an encampment, and she replaced some of her Imperial armour that she had picked up within Helgen, because obviously she did not want to be recognised as an Imperial. She clearly wasn't one. And she needed to she didn't want to draw any attention to herself, so she had to get rid of this equipment as quick as possible. And this is now during the live stream, of course. So during the live stream, for the first live stream, it was literally Tavarni was getting a layout for the land. She visited a few different caves. She began collecting alchemical ingredients. She'd never been to the land of Skyrim. She'd never used any of the alchemical ingredients there. So it was all sort of new to her. There were all new different varieties of mushrooms and plants and insects and other such things. So she was beginning to collect her alchemical ingredients to start creating potions and seeing what each one did. She was very interested in that. And of course, as I said, she was just getting a layout for the land. She was just spending a little time being as under the radar as possible when she was doing this, of course. And then we move on to literally the first live stream. That's what happened. Tavarni was just spending her time going through Skyrim, just getting a lay for the land, going in a few caves, finding alchemical ingredients. She came across the city of Phoe'Nix, and I think that's about where the first live stream ended. As I said, not much happened in these first live streams, and the same can be said for the second live stream. She was basically going across Skyrim. She found a barrow, and within the barrow were vampires. Of course, these were not the pure-blooded vampires she was looking for, but she had heard that there were vampires within Skyrim, so she was, in a way, she feels she was sort of drawn to Skyrim, like it was fate, because she is looking for pure-blooded vampires. For the one reason is to actually join them, because she feels that that's where she'd be very settled now. After reading those books for so many years in her bedroom, she feels that being with the vampires would be like actually having a chance at being with a family, and that's now where she belongs. She belongs in a sort of a brood of vampires. That's where she feels she should be, or if possible, even to become a Daedric Lord's sort of underling. She would very much like to do that as well. As I said, she has a deep love for Molag Bal and vampires. So either one of the two would be an incredible achievement and a dream of hers. But of course, all of these vampires were impure, so she ended up killing them all, going through the barrow and collecting a few goods at the same time, and some extra armour and weaponry, and she'd finally got rid of the Imperial outfit. Now she could hopefully not be noticed by the Imperials. Obviously, she was worried that they were actually out on a search warrant for her from her father to be killed, and also that she escaped Helgen, so she wasn't quite sure if the Imperials were looking for her for that reason as well. And during the rest of the live stream, as I said, she was just visiting different locations she came across, collecting alchemical ingredients, and then she came across, I believe it was Whiterun, or it may have been, I do believe it was Whiterun, where a guard mentioned about the Dawn Guard and that they were trying to kill vampires. There were these vampire attacks happening everywhere all over Skyrim, and there was this specific group of people called the Dawn Guard that dealt with them. So she was intrigued by this, and not because she wanted to kill the vampires, obviously, although impure vampires there wasn't a second thought. She killed them because they were impure. She didn't want to become an impure vampire. But she joined the Dawn Guard because she was curious as to whether these vampire attacks, they sounded very planned, and the impure vampires she had come across in the past and during her time in Skyrim, they just seemed like beasts, just like beasts that really just sort of were driven to drink blood. They weren't organised. However, these vampire attacks seemed to come across as organised. So she began to wonder, she was intrigued as to whether these vampires were perhaps the sort of vampires she was looking for. Or maybe if there was a chance that there was a vampire brood that was close to what she was looking for, the pure-blooded vampires. So she made her way to the Dawn Guard castle, and that's basically where the last live stream ended. And of course I'll be uploading the third live stream straight after I upload this, actually, so that you guys can watch that, and that's where the real meaty part gets in. You know, Tavarni has gone to the Dawn Guard, and she's not joining she wants to join them, but not because she wants to kill vampires. She's actually hoping that by joining them she might be able to find the vampire she's been looking for this whole entire time, at which point she'd obviously double cross the Dawn Guard and betray them. So she's really using the Dawn Guard as an end to a means. what's the word? Is it a means to an end? I believe that's what it is. But anyway, everyone, thank you for listening to this recap. I hope it was informative. As I said before, the past 2 live streams before the 3rd one, not much went on. Of course, it was just Tavarni getting used to the land of Skyrim, and obviously out of character. It was just us sort of like building up the character, sort of preparing, deciding what she'll take on as her skills and such. But you'll see. Thanks for bibbing the horn there, pal. But you'll see what sort of skills that she's taken on in the future live streams that I'll be uploading. I will certainly make note not to let them disappear before I upload them this time. But yes, I hope this is informative. I do apologise for those that were actually hoping that I'd upload the full streams. Thanks to Twitch, I can't do that, but I hope that this is enough. Like I said, not a lot went on, so you didn't miss much. I really, last night on the live stream I'll be uploading after this, that's when it really started to get interesting with Tavarni's storyline. But thank you for listening. I hope you found this interesting and insightful, I guess. And not really the word I should be looking for, but I'm going to use it anyway, because I can. I'm British. British people can use any word they like at any time, and it'll still sound awesome. That's been a bit arrogant. But yeah, I hope you found this interesting, and if you are interested in watching me live stream Skyrim, please do click on the link below. I might be able to make a link pop up on screen right now. If I can, I'll do it. And I also have a link to my Twitch channel on my main YouTube page. For all of my regular YouTube viewers that do watch my videos that upload to YouTube, please do come and watch me live stream. At the moment, that's what I'm doing the most. If you prefer to catch up on my live streams watching them via YouTube, that's absolutely fine, but I'd love to see you guys come over to Twitch and sort of jump into the chat and talk to me and all that. That'd be great. It makes it so much more immersive and fun when you have lots of people interacting. You can interact with whilst playing. That's what I love about live streaming. But yes, thank you for watching, everyone. Please do check out my Skyrim live streaming. I'll be live streaming every evening, hopefully. If I don't live stream, I'll probably post up a reason on Twitter. So please do follow me on Twitter if you're an avid Twitter follower. I'm not trying to be a follower whore or anything, but Twitter is possibly one of the best ways to check up when I'm live streaming at the moment. If you use it, that is. If not, if you have a Twitch account, follow me. If you use your email a lot, then it will come up, obviously, when I'm streaming. But yes, thank you anyway to everyone that listened to this. I hope you found it interesting. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye until then, guys. Phoe'Nix out.